Hello and welcome, all friends and devotees of yoga and meditation and Buddhist studies. We'll continue our lectures and discussion forums on the investigations and the findings of Grandmaster Ching Kong. For all who are watching these videos for the first time, Grandmaster Ching Kong is a very prominent, one of the most prominent Chinese Buddhist authorities in our time. So I have attached works from Grandmaster Ching Kong to this particular video. All you have to do is just scroll down and click on it. You should find the publications there. We are now working on understanding Buddhism, to understand Buddhism. And if you're already there, I would like to send you to page 20. We'll be continuing from the last paragraph of page 20. The second Bodhisattva, Guanyin, represents the cultivation of great compassion and kindness. Folks, while we are studying, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to contact me now. If you have been, if you have been watching previous videos, you should know my contact by now. For those who are new, it is c.aburime@hotmail.com. My email address is c.aburime, A-B-U-R-I-M-E, c.aburime@hotmail.com, or Color College, C-O-L-O-U-R, C-O-L-L-E-G, color spelled British, C-O-L-O-U-R, Color College @hotmail.com. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Comments, progress reports, anything you have in mind to say, just feel free to contact me through these emails as we proceed. So we are currently on page 20 of To Understand Buddhism. You'll find a link on this video, so just click on the website, click on the link, and then you proceed to page 20, and then we continue reading. The second Bodhisattva, Guanyin, represents the cultivation of great compassion and kindness. What is the meaning of making offerings to Guanyin Bodhisattva? It is to remind us that we would do well to treat all people with great compassion and kindness, to use unconditional love and care to help all sentient beings. We're just trying to help you here to have a better understanding of what Buddhism is about. Grandmaster Ching Kong, from his findings, from his investigations and finding, has long dissociated Buddhism from world religions. Christianity, Islam, Hinduism. Buddhism is not in that category. Buddhism is not a world religion. Buddhism is an institution. It's a universal institution of advanced learning. What is our relationship with the Buddha? Our relationship with the Buddha is not like the way Christians relate with Jesus Christ. Our relationship with the Buddha is a teacher-student relationship, whereas Christians relate with Jesus Christ not as teacher-student, but as God and man relationship. Jesus Christ is God the Son in Christianity. And then you have God the Father. So that's a religion. That's where you worship God. In Buddhism, we see the Buddha as a professor, a very high, ranking professor, a very highly revered professor, just like if you were to study under a Nobel laureate. The kind of reverence, the kind of high regard, the kind of great respect you'll give to such a professor. That's exactly how Buddhists, particularly Grandmaster Ching Kong, and those of us who follow his teachings, that's how we regard the Buddha. We regard the Buddha as a very great teacher, but the relationship here is teacher-student. It's not God and sinners, like you find in Christianity or in Islam. The relationship there is God and sinful humans, sinful humankind. No, that's not what we do here. Our relationship with Buddha is teacher-student, exactly like professor and undergraduate, or professor and graduate student, or professor and doctoral student, or professor and postdoctoral student, and so on. It's a teacher-student relationship. So there's a big difference, and you should have spotted that. And then, what is the objective of Buddhism in a nutshell? This is for newcomers. This is for those who are just beginning. I'm trying to quickly summarize to, carry you so that you know where we are coming from to get to this point in our lecture series. For those who are new, in a nutshell, in one sentence, the objective of Buddhism is to eradicate suffering from humankind. The Buddha was concentrated on suffering. His focus of research, his focus of investigation was suffering. Why do human beings suffer? So this was the objective, and this is the grand objective of Buddhism, to extirpate suffering from humanity, to remove suffering from humankind, suffering and pains. So this is what the Buddhism is all about. It's not a religion. We don't worship Buddha or any other gods. We just try to investigate suffering of humanity, try to find out the reason why human beings suffer and what we must do to extirpate suffering from humanity. Okay, so if you are there, if you are with us, then we may proceed. We are now on page 21. The third Bodhisattva Manjushri represents wisdom and rationale, reminding us that when we practice and interact with others, we need to fulfill our filial duty, to rely upon wisdom and rationale, not on emotion. The fourth Bodhisattva, the great Samantabhadra, universal worthy Bodhisattva, represents carrying out the cultivation truthfully, applying filial piety, compassion, kindness, and rationale in our daily lives. When one perfectly achieves the way of universal worthy Bodhisattva, one becomes a Buddha. Buddhism teaches us how to live in harmony with the true reality of life and the universe. In other words, we would live perfect and wonderful lives similar to those of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. This is the true, ultimate, and perfect Mahayana teaching. To practice Buddhism, we start by 1. Being filial and respectful towards parents, teachers, and elders. 2. Having the great compassionate mind. 3. Nurturing one's thinking and wisdom. And 4. Broadening one's mind. Although in sequence, they also can be practiced simultaneously as each encompasses the others. For example, being filial to parents includes compassion and kindness. Reasoning and wisdom. Wisdom includes being filial, compassionate, and kind. Once we have a general understanding of Buddhism, how do we apply it to our daily living? First, we need to know what each Buddha and Bodhisattva represents. If we do not, then Buddhism would be reduced to superstition, and we would not receive its true benefits. All Buddhist sutras contain these qualities, characteristics, and the way of practice. Therefore, learning only one sutra will be enough. One needs to know how to understand and apply the teachings effectively. Usually in the center of the main hall of a way place means a temple, there are statues of 1 Buddha and 2 Bodhisattvas, which represents our self-nature and original entity. The 2 Bodhisattvas represent our virtuous abilities within our self-nature. One is understanding and the other is practice. If the Buddha in the middle is Buddha Shakyamuni, then the 2 figures on either side of him will be Manjushri and universal worthy Bodhisattvas, representing wisdom and application respectively. Thus, understanding and practice are combined into one. If the hall has the 3 sages of the Western Pure Land with Buddha Amitabha in the middle representing self-nature, then the 2 figures on either side of him will be Guanyin and Great Strength Bodhisattvas. They respectively represent compassion and wisdom, completely symbolizing the infinite wisdom and virtuous capabilities. Therefore, we again see that Buddhism is a teaching. Buddhism is a teaching. There are profound teachings within the names of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. For example, the name of Buddha Shakyamuni tells us the principles of the Buddha's education. Shakya means humanity and kindness. Muni means purity of mind. The teaching of these two qualities is advocated because people in our world lack compassion and kindness and are often selfish. Moreover, all sentient beings lack purity of mind, constantly dwelling in wandering thoughts, greed, anger, ignorance, and arrogance. Any bodhisattva who becomes a Buddha in this world will be named Shakyamuni to teach us the remedy for our problems. Once the representations of Buddha and Bodhisattva statues are understood intuitively, just by looking at them, one will perfectly comprehend the goal of the Buddha's teachings. When we enter the first hall of a way place, again, a way place means a temple, the hall of heavenly guardians, we will see the statue of Maitreya Bodhisattva surrounded by the four heavenly guardians in the middle of the hall. Maitreya Bodhisattva, known in the West as the Happy Buddha, has a huge smile representing joyfulness. His great stomach represents enormous tolerance and broad-mindedness, teaching us to interact with others and matters with joy, to be non-discriminating and tolerant, always. Next to him are four heavenly guardians, or Dharma protectors, who teach us how to protect ourselves. The Eastern Dharma protector symbolizes fulfilling one's duty and responsibility, teaching us that regardless of position, one needs to fulfill one's duties. He is holding a lute in his hand. The strings of the instrument should not be too tight, or else they will break. Nor should they be too loose, or they will not play well. When properly adjusted and balanced, the instrument will play beautifully, clearly symbolizing that we need to take the middle path when interacting with matters, people, and objects. When each of us fulfills our responsibilities and obligations, how could the nation not prosper? The Southern Dharma protector symbolizes improvement and daily advancement. Not only do matters need to be taken care of appropriately, continuous improvement also needs to be sought. In his right hand, the Southern Dharma protector holds the sword of wisdom, and in his left hand, a ring symbolizing the perfection of wisdom, showing us that one needs to use wisdom always in seeking improvement. The sword symbolizes how one needs to sever afflictions before they are out of control. At this point, folks, we may pause for reflection, contemplation, and meditation, which is the objective of Buddhism. So I'll leave you to take your time, read through these lectures one more time, read through them, a couple of times, if you may, and gradually begin to reflect on what they are talking about, reflect on them, contemplate on them, and meditate on them, and try to penetrate. Let your mind gradually begin to penetrate the truth in them, and you'll see your mind coming to peace, to serenity, to calm. And this is the objective of Buddhism, is to rid you of suffering, to dismiss your suffering from you and bring your mind to peace, calm, and serenity, always. If you have any questions while you are walking through these, today's lecture, feel free to let me know. Have a most pleasant day, folks. Namo Amitofo.